Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Johnson City Board of Commissioners for Thursday, September 20th to order. If we would take a moment of silence in memory of our fallen comrade and friend, Dr. Ralph Van Brocklin. We'll now have the invocation by Pastor Jody Jenkins, Buffalo Ridge Baptist Church. Please stand for that and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray together. Our Father, we thank you for your goodness to us, your mercy and grace in our lives. I do pray for Dr. Van Brocklin's family that you'll encourage them, speak peace to them, and be with them during this time. Thank you for peace that passeth understanding. And we pray for wisdom and direction from you. We thank you, Lord God, for what you've done for us and that there's victory in the Lord Jesus Christ. We give you praise today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Oh, yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go, Jenny, why are you standing there looking at me?
Running.
Yeah. We have with us tonight Dr. Van Brocklin's wife, Deb, his son, Hunter. We're so sad but so pleased that you're here, and we want to spend a moment in remembrance of him. We have a resolution that we'd like to read, and I believe Dr. Fowler goes first.
Thank you for being here. Resolution for Dr. Ralph J. Van Brocklin. On September 8th, 2018, our community lost an exemplary citizen, and the Board of Commissioners lost a respected colleague and dear friend with the passing of Dr. Van Brocklin. From this life on earth to that life which is eternal. Ralph Van Brocklin has a long list of achievements, several that are still in their infancy, but which will undoubtedly come to fruition to benefit future generations of our city. One such achievement involved his unwavering support and advocacy on behalf of the Johnson City school system. It is not coincidental that our school system achieved statewide recognition for excellence during Dr. Van Brocklin's tenure as an elected official.
And support from our entire community resulted in Dr. Van Brocklin's decade of public service, beginning with his election to the Johnson City School Board, followed in 2011 with his election to the City Commission, and then his appointment as a mayor for 2 years later. By all accounts, Ralph Van Brocklin brought to the positions he held a passion for progress, an insistence for quality, a knack for creativity, and an industrious that were his trademarks for any project in which he participated. Dr. Van Brocklin consistently took an interest in the voices of our African American community, as reflected in his recent outspoken support for the designation of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Parkway and the historic preservation of the Langston High School facility. His words of encouragement and expressions of appreciation to city staff will be remembered as motivating city employees to provide governmental services that exceeded expectation. Always quick to assume the role of an ambassador and a promoter of Johnson City, Dr. Van Brocklin's reputation and influence expanded to include our regional neighbors. While preferring consensus decision-making, he stood on his own if necessary, providing prepared remarks akin to a graduate school thesis during commission meetings to advance a goal. His goals were always designed to serve the public's interest, never his own.
Ralph Van Brocklin's visionary instincts are reflected in several of our new public buildings, including the state-of-the-art animal shelter, Johnson City Community and Senior Center, the Crown Jewel Recreational Tweetsie Trail, and coming around the corner, the Tannery Knob Mountain Bike Project. Add to this list the successful flood abatement projects better known as Founders and King Commons Park, and Dr. Van Brocklin's involvement in our city's public improvements further come into focus. The revitalization and flourishing economic vitality of our historic downtown did not occur by happenstance. It required considerable time and planning with many collaborators, as important one being Ralph Van Brocklin. The long-discussed and now impressive undertaking of East Tennessee State University's Fine and Performing Arts Center in partnership with the city investment was one of his higher priorities and one to which he devoted countless hours.
Dr. Van Brocklin's quick wit, firm handshake, non-judgmental demeanor, and unquestionable integrity endeared him to many and resulted in his serving as an example for us all. Our fond remembrance of Ralph Van Brocklin cannot be complete, however, without some reflection on his trademark cowboy boots. Some said it was a leftover trait from living in California a little too long, and we should not even try to understand. Others said it was his unspoken statement of independence, character, and style. Either way, he wore those boots well. He lived his life well. The underlying purpose of this resolution honoring the life and spirit of Dr. Ralph Van Brocklin is to assure that his name and his significant contributions to our community are permanently etched into our official record of Johnson City. It is to later generations of Johnson Cityans examining the history of our city that we now intend to speak. We ask that they take time to pause and reflect on the life of our gracious colleague, Ralph Van Brocklin, and to be inspired by his legacy of excellence for the same reasons and to the same degree that we too have been inspired. Be it therefore resolved by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, in regular meeting on this, the 20th day of September 2018, that we express our heartfelt appreciation for the life, the service, the example of Dr. Ralph Van Brocklin, and to his wife, Deborah Irvin Van Brocklin, his sons, Hunter Van Brocklin and Mark Lloyd, and other members of his family. We express our deepest sympathy for the loss of their loved one, our most honorable commissioner, former mayor, and friend. He will be greatly missed. How about a round of applause for Dr. Van? We have a copy for the three of you and one spare to use as you will. And we also had prepared this for his service and would like you to have that. We hope you enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It means a great deal to me. Appreciate it.
They want to get some pictures out there.
We're going to deviate from the agenda just a moment and take a moment for Dr. Van Brocklin's colleagues to say a few words, pay our respects before we get on with the regular business of the meeting. Start to my left with Dr. Fowler.
I didn't really know Ralph very well until the last 2 years, and I've gotten to know him very, very well. The things that I think about when I think about Ralph are how much of a gentleman he was. A family man, concerned about his parents, his wife, children. He was a professional at everything he did. He was really intelligent. He didn't just read things, he thought about them and went into depth about everything that he did. He was generous with everybody for everything. I mean, there's nothing that he didn't get involved with that he didn't really get involved with. And always well prepared. It didn't matter what you were doing. He was prepared when he showed up. He wasn't just flying in. We may not have always agreed on everything, but we agreed to disagree, and he was very gracious about everything. You left and you were still friends with Ralph, and that you can't say about many people these days. When I announced that I was running on a Thursday 2 years ago, on Friday night, the day after that, I was at the football game at Elizabeth and with Science Hill and Elizabeth, and I was standing on the sideline, and I heard my name called, and I turned around, and Ralph came through the crowd down to the fence, stuck his hand over, and shook my hand and said, "Thank you for your comments about how we were doing as a commission, and that you weren't running because we were doing anything wrong. You're running for somebody's position that was not going to run again." And he said, "I wish you good luck." And that is the kind of gentleman that he was running against me, but not really. I mean, we were running for the same kind of thing. So I cannot say enough about how great a commissioner, mayor, person that Ralph Van Brocklin was. Like I said, even if we disagreed, we still walked away friends, and that's unusual. So thank y'all for sharing him with us.
Well, commissioners and to the public, and Pete and Janet, who sit up here with us week after week, tonight's our first meeting without our respected colleague, and it's hard to believe that just 2 weeks ago he was here with us, and we made several really major decisions at that meeting. I know after 11 years of hard work that Ralph is so proud of the vote to expand Liberty Bell. It was a long time in coming, and he just kept that, and he would not relinquish on it. I would have to attach the word perseverance to everything that Ralph did. The other significant vote we made was to purchase the Wilson property at Wingdeer Park. And I remember well, when I first took my seat in 2013, the discussion about a sports complex was one of the first things we were talking about. And so after 5 years, we took that vote, and we have a plan finally. It had been something that had been talked about for such a long time. And I know Ralph was very proud to know that we finally have put the seeds in place to make that happen. I can only end by saying how much we're going to miss him as a colleague and what he brought to this commission. When you have a body like this, everybody kind of has their personalities and their things that they offer to a group, and his is going to be hard to replace. If I hadn't read the packet completely, every single little thing, I always deferred to Ralph because I knew he had. So we're going to miss that, but I'm going to miss most of all his forward-thinking vision, his ability, not just ability, but his unwavering principle that you do the right thing no matter what. No matter what, politically or anything, you just did the right thing. And as he would talk often, he says, somebody would say, well, I know that was a hard decision. And he would say, well, making the right decision really is not hard at all. So we're going to miss him. I'm going to miss him personally as a friend. And Deborah, thank you for letting us come into your life. And I know that you supported him, and you're very proud of all the work he's done in Johnson City.
When you think of Johnson City and its history and nearly 150 years, there have been people of significance who have contributed each in their own unique way to bring us to where we are today. And you can see them mentioned sometimes in the historic retrospectives in the paper, and you see those little decisions that at the time would have been difficult to make, but people made them. And we are where we are today because of those people. And while Ralph has peers, he has no one better. He stands amongst those people. Pardon me. What comes to mind when I think of Ralph Van Brocklin is anything worth doing is worth overdoing. Ralph Van Brocklin overdid it, and he overdid it, and we are in his debt. And Johnson City, for generations, will see the reward and the yield of his contribution. And few people today can recognize that, because
his contributions were so small, and yet their impact is so great, and we are in his debt.
Amen, brother. We will, for years to come, we'll see the impact of those decisions that were made. I'm still in shock. I know my colleagues are. It seems like he's out in California and he'll be back for the next meeting. It just doesn't seem real. It'll sink in as we operate in his absence, and it's going to be a tough road forward without him. You know, much has been said about him. I don't want to repeat, but I will repeat prepared. There was nobody I've met who was more prepared when he walked into the room than him. One of my colleagues mentioned to me the other day that I was going to have to read things a little more carefully now because I didn't have that to fall back on. Aside from what he brought the city, he was we didn't hear much about him professionally, and I can tell you, having removed all three of my daughter's wisdom teeth, the care and the skill that he showed with them, and the compassion as a healer for them. And I know he didn't treat them any different than he treated any other of his patients. He was concerned. He checked in. If we had a question, he was always available. He was very special in that respect too. And I'm glad all three of their wisdom teeth are out, because I would not know where to go without that, without Dr. Van Brocklin here. My one fond memory, one of the first times as I really got to know him, I was newly elected to the county commission and was invited to the dedication of a church sanctuary, as all the sitting county commissioners and city commissioners were. And as it was in my district as a county commissioner, I was the only one there from the county commission. Ralph was the only one there from the city commission. So we sat together for what we thought was going to be about 45 minutes. 2 hours later, I had also asked my youngest daughter if she'd like to go with me. Said, it'll be fun. We'll go for about an hour, then we'll go get ice cream. Well, 2 hours into it, it ain't even close to over. And it's time for the offering. Now, first off, I told Isabel, my youngest daughter, I said, we'll just sit in the back, we'll stay for a little while, then we'll leave. Well, no, we were up on stage. The minute we walked in, they rushed us up next to Ralph. So we sat there and quietly chatted from time to time and got to know each other. It came time for the offering, about 2.5 hours in. And they didn't pass a plate. You had to get up, walk to the front of the church, and drop your offering in front of 300 people in the church. Had to be dropped. I don't carry cash. My daughter didn't have cash. And I'm standing up, and I'm standing in line, and I'm checking my pockets. Ralph saw me do that, and he said, can I help you? I said, can you spot me? And he gave me $20. I tried to pay him back. He said to give it to the animal shelter. So I did. That got us off to a very good start. I take it was a privilege to know him, to work with him. We're going to miss him. It's going to be a void. I don't know how that void. Well, the void will never be filled. But Ralph, I miss you. I miss your wit, your wisdom, your counsel, your company, and your friendship. And I hope you say hi to my grandparents and my brother while you're up there. And I hope to, if we're so lucky, hopefully we see you one day. I'd like us to take any other comments, Mr. Peterson, Janet? You guys have worked with him for a long time.
Well, I think Johnson City is very fortunate that we had the opportunity for Ralph to pass through our community and our lives as individuals. His work was very prolific. It's widespread. It will be here as a testimony to his life's work of caring and compassion and dedication to always doing the right thing. I've witnessed a lot of decisions in my 28 years here. Ralph never made a decision based on personal gain, friendship, or anything other than it's the right thing to do, no matter how popular or unpopular that decision was, and we'll benefit from it forever. So, Deborah, Hunter, we certainly join you in missing Ralph, and please know that we're down here to help you in any way that we can.
Well, I guess I saw Ralph from a little different perspective. And I had the honor of swearing him in 3 times, and it was an honor. He was so appreciative of being elected to the school board and then to the commission. And he was deeply involved, very deeply informed on every decision he made, and he did not hesitate to reach out to us as city staff to become informed. So we knew he spent a lot of his personal time getting prepared for the very important decisions. But I want to share a little bit about Ralph, and I call him that because he insisted when he would write emails, it was always Ralph. And you try to call him Dr. Van Brocklin or Mayor, it was Ralph. So he made us all feel very comfortable, no matter what level in this organization you worked in, whether it was, people who are out, mowing, or police officers, or whoever, whatever level. We were all very, very important in his eyes. So I guess from my perspective as an employee, he and I worked on bond deals together. The city gets money for these large projects, these very important projects, by going through the bond market. So I had the privilege of sitting through those closings with him, and I remember on one particular closing, our bond counsel or our financial advisors, I can't remember who, came in from Nashville, and we were signing documents, and he just was so down to earth, and it was probably one of my earliest recollections of working with him. And we shared stories about farming. He grew he knew about farm work, and he had been used to hard work, so we shared farming stories because I grew up on a farm. And I just was impressed that the mayor would take time, and we've had a lot of great mayors, and they've all been very great and very personable and very kind and thoughtful. But I just remember that fondly. He spoke fondly of his family and his wife. And then on another occasion, my daughter cheered at Science Hill, and he gave money. He always helped to support education, whether it was athletics or whatever it was, animal shelter, a lot of those things have been named. But he gave money toward the cheer team. But he not only gave money, he continued, year after year to ask about her and how's it going. He didn't know my daughter. He cared. So I already miss him dearly, and thank you, Deborah. I'm so glad I got to meet you and Hunter and Mark, and thank you, like everybody else has said, for sharing him with us. I know that he worked a lot of personal time, but just from the employee standpoint, he was a friend to us all. So thank you.
I'd like to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll come back and get on with the rest of our meeting.
September the 6th.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. How about any discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Temita?
Yes.
Next order of business is the presentation of a proclamation recognizing National Medicare Education Week.
Come on up. Let's see. Thanks for coming down. Whereas Medicare is one of our nation's largest health insurance programs with more than 62 million Americans enrolled, and whereas research shows that many Medicare beneficiaries find Medicare to be complex and confusing, I can't imagine that. Whereas more than 60,061 residents of Washington County are currently eligible for Medicare, and more than 11,000 people turning 65 every day. And whereas National Medicare Education Week was established to encourage Medicare beneficiaries as well as their families, friends, and caregivers to learn more about Medicare coverage options. And whereas more than 65 million Americans provide care for chronically ill, disabled, or aged family members, and many of these caregivers are tasked with helping their care recipient navigate Medicare to find coverage that meets their needs. And whereas National Medicare Education Week is a timely reminder for all Johnson City residents to think about friends and loved ones who are enrolled in Medicare and the role they can play in helping them with their health care coverage decisions. Now, therefore, I, David Temita, Mayor of the City of Johnson City, do hereby proclaim the week of September 15th to 21st, 2018 as National Medicare Education Week to encourage the citizens of Johnson City to help educate older Americans and other Medicare beneficiaries to feel prepared during Medicare annual enrollment period, which is right around the corner. There you are. Introduce yourself.
I'm Kevin Burgett with United Healthcare, Medicare and Retirement, Sales Director for Tennessee. And thank you, Mayor. United Healthcare happily accepts this proclamation and also thanks you for acknowledging the importance of educating our Medicare beneficiaries. It's a very important segment of our population. So we definitely appreciate the partnership and acknowledging the importance of educating the Medicare beneficiaries of Johnson City and Washington County with the annual election period being October 15th to December 7th. It's very important that we do our best to educate about the program itself and all the options that are available to them.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here who would come down for a proclamation?
Just anyone on any topic. Or
Any topic?
We have an extra.
We got a spare. Yeah.
Your next order of business is consideration of a temporary occasion license for JRH Brewing to serve beer at the food truck rally event on October the 6th. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors. The recommendation is for your approval.
Is the applicant here this evening? If you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jill Henritzy, 458 West Walnut Street, Johnson City, Tennessee.
Have you read the rules and regulations regarding the sale of beer in the city of Johnson City?
Yes.
Do you agree to abide by those rules?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for us?
I do not.
Move approval.
Do you have a motion? Second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Temita?
Yes.
Thank
Like
you
to
very
tell us
much.
about your event?
Yes, it's the food truck rally, which has been happening about every month since the spring, and it's in the farmers market. They wanted to add the addition of craft beer, and we were glad to accept that invitation. So hopefully it'll be a nice event for the public to enjoy.
What kind of turnout? I've seen the trucks there, I haven't stopped in, but what kind of turnout are you getting?
Well, this will be the first time we've set up, but they've
Oh.
had a big turnout with the food trucks. I think he has a little more than usual this time, too. So, yeah, it should be a good variety.
I haven't been to one that they haven't run out of food well before the end. So
Exactly.
I'm assuming they're well attended, so very good. Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Next order of business is to consider a temporary occasion license for the Humane Society of Washington County to serve beer at the Barktoberfest event to be held on October 13th. This is a temporary occasion license. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors. The recommendation is for your approval.
Very good. Is the applicant here? Or applicants? And if you would, state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Libby Lewis, 1751 Todd Drive, Johnson City.
Read the rules and regulations regarding the sale of beer in the city of Johnson City.
Yes.
And do you agree to abide by those rules?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for us?
No.
Any questions for the applicant?
Move for approval.
Have a motion? How about a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes. Would you like to tell us about your event? I think we have flyers. A
Yes, you
flyer?
have our sponsorship packets there that we have taken to all businesses around Johnson City. We had our first inaugural Barktoberfest last year, which came to be a huge event. So this year, we wanted to grow it. We are having a 5K, 1K walk. We are also having a puppy bowl, agility course, costume contest, a lot of vendors, food truck vendors, food vendors. So we're hoping, right now we have over 1,000 people interested in coming.
Very good. Good luck.
Well, I understand from Dr. Williams, he has a puppy for all of us out in the lobby as we leave. Is
It can
that
be
right?
arranged immediately, yes.
Yes, right now we have 25 puppies in foster care right now. So,
Very good. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, you might also mention, people who come to the festival can bring their animals, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's the part
Yes.
everybody needs to understand.
Yes, everyone bring their animals. Like I said, we do have a costume contest for the animals and stuff, so,
But they
yeah.
have to be well behaved, right?
Yes, they do have to be on a leash.
Don't bring your attack
Wait,
dog.
I
Yeah.
have two little dogs, and they're not well behaved, and they would just come unglued.
No, you can bring them. It's okay.
It's the dogs that I'm worried about.
Well, yeah, they are a little temperamental.
Yes, they are.
But we would love to have you, though.
Thank
Yeah,
y'all
we
for
would
all
love
the
to
work
have
the
you.
Humane Society does, and between that and the animal shelter, we have a lot of pets that we take care of for other people who, won't spay and neuter their animals, and we need
Yes.
to encourage that more and more. I think we need to do more on that front end to get more spay and neuter, but thank y'all for everything you do.
Yes, and this occasion will go towards the spay and neuter for low cost, low income for the community wide and our foster program and medical expenses. So we don't take any of our money for ourselves.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Peterson?
Next order of business is consideration of a temporary occasion license for Johnson City Brewing Company to serve beer at the Boo and Brew event at the mall on October 27th. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors. The recommendation is for your approval.
Is the applicant here tonight? State your name and address for the record, please.
It's Kat Latham. My house is 603 West Poplar Street, Johnson City.
Have you read the rules and regulations regarding the sale of beer in the city of Johnson City?
Again.
Again. And do you agree to abide by those rules?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions for us?
No.
Very good. Any questions for the applicant?
Move for approval.
Have a motion, how about a
Second.
second? Motion and a second, any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes. And very wisely, given the weather,
The
we'll
next
move on to the next item.
is to consider a rain location for the Johnson City Brewing Company for the Operation Warm event scheduled for Saturday, September the 29th. This is a temporary occasion license that you previously approved. This is just the approval of a backup location in case of inclement weather. We would recommend your approval.
Where is the location?
Holidays, the old Holidays building, the first floor there.
Oh,
They very
okay.
generously have offered their space as the backup.
Move approval. Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock? Yes. Mayor Tomita?
Yes. You want to tell us about the event?
I think I already talked about the other one previously. The Booze and Brews event is kids and families, come on out, and I believe there's some trick-or-treating. There's going to be lots of music, beer, and food, and it'll be outside in their parking lot there. We have enjoyed a couple of previous events there, and it seems to it's a different crowd than we have ever really interacted with, so that's good. But we're hoping to draw those people downtown as much as we can. But very quickly, I just wanted to say from the Downtown Merchants Association, as the president of the association and the representative, we will miss Dr. Van Brocklin very much. And we appreciate everything that he did and his ability to see the issue and get right to it and understand the struggles that a small business owner has, our failures, the disappointments, the successes, and his insight and a great deal to all of us. So thank you for honoring him, and thank you for sharing him with us. And we appreciate all of you very much. And if there's anything that we can do as an association to help you, especially through this transition, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your next order of business is to make 4 appointments to the Public Art Committee. And in your packet is a list of applicants, and the appointments are yours to make.
Very good. We want to do these one at a time, or would somebody like to?
I guess I would offer up, we have 2 currently serving members of the committee that have only served 1 term, have had exemplary attendance, and have been substantial in their contributions, both Cole Hendricks and Nancy Fishman, that I would like to advance for appointment.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes. Anyone else? Yeah.
Ms. Stowers, on the other 2 appointments, my 2 names would be Andrew Russell, who just seems to be a very, very qualified candidate, and I would also like to put forward, on here it says Sultina Bradley, but she goes by her middle name, which is Angelita, and I spoke with her today, and one of the things she wants to try to bring to the Art Council is more emphasis on getting art to our young people and to engage them in more of a cultural offering. I think one of the things she said was, we have plenty of athletics around, but our children don't get exposed to the arts as much as they should. So also, I think our committees need to represent our community, and she would represent the minority population. So those are my 2.
I will second those 2.
Commissioner Wise?
I'm good with those 2.
All right. And although, again, I will say, if you would like I feel like I say this every time we do this, because I would not know Ms. Russell if she was standing, or Bradley, if she were standing in front of me. See, I didn't even know her name. If you wish to be appointed to one of our boards and committees, I encourage you to at least introduce yourself to us, call, email, something. I will accept your your assessment but it would be very helpful. Again, the only applicant I knew when I looked at the list was Ms. Fisher. That was it. And I received another contact. So please just take 5 seconds. We're very easy to find. We're very easy to get a hold of. So.
And
One
this
more
will,
comment. Yeah, there are 15 people that are applying for this, which is great. We want them to keep applying and doing that. That's wonderful that we get to choose from people instead of hoping that somebody's going to apply for this. So, thank you.
And if you didn't get chosen, please don't give up.
Yeah.
Please keep trying. There are other ways you can be engaged, and this is a fairly large committee, and seats do come available from time to time. So please go back. So I will concur, but I guess we need to bring it to a vote. Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Shall I count the first two as the motion and second? Okay. Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes.
Next order of business is to make 5 appointments to the Johnson City Development Authority.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Commissioner Wise.
I would like to suggest that we make 4 appointments and defer action on the 5th. And the reason for that is particularly in light of the recent efforts underway with the JCDA relative to the John Sevier and some opportunities there. I think there may be some specific experiences and skill sets that would be particularly valuable to the JCDA right now as they embark on that sort of effort. And so I would make a motion that for now, we appoint Tracy Johnson, Brent Long, Craig Torbett, and Lee Chase to serve on the JCDA and defer action on the 5th spot until we've had some time to pursue such a candidate.
Could I present a point of clarification? We did receive an email. In fact, I had talked with Ms. Cantler about this, and I think in the original submission, we didn't realize there is a 6th candidate, actually, that they've been working on with Ralph, and that is, they recognize that needs to be the development position. So there are 5 open seats plus 1, and you sent us an email yesterday or last night or something, I think, to clarify that. So we do have the 5, and we have the extra one that will be more of a developmental position that they're going to reserve to have an appropriate recommendation for that, if that makes any difference.
I would be inclined to say let's go with the 4, and then we'll go with 2 next time.
I will second Joe's proposal then.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes.
All right, your next order of business is consideration of a street closure request from the American Cancer Society for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer 5K to be held on Sunday, October the 28th. We have reviewed this, and it involves State of Franklin between Commerce and Sevier. We would recommend your approval.
Good evening.
Good evening.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Holly Booker, 1122 Huffine Road, Johnson City, Tennessee.
Do you have any questions? No. How about a motion?
Move for approval.
Second. Motion second. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes. So we're going from the, yeah,
One
it's
more.
like,
Yeah,
wait a minute, looks like the same thing. So we got the run and now the festival.
This is street closure for the American Cancer Society for the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Festival to be held on Sunday, October the 28th. We would recommend your approval.
Very good. Any questions about a motion?
So moved.
Very good. How about a second? Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes. Would you like to tell us about your events?
This is the American Cancer Society's 6th annual Making Strides Against Breast Cancer event in Founders Park. We're thrilled to have it. All the funds raised do go to support breast cancer research and programs that help people both globally and locally. Locally, we have wigs, rides, and we also have a Look Good, Feel Better program. So if someone's going through treatment and they lose their hair and they don't know what to do with their makeup, they have the opportunity to come together as a unit with other women who are going through the same thing. And it's all sponsored by the American Cancer Society on top of the research we do. So it's a really awesome day. This year, we hope everyone puts their pink bra on and comes out to it. So we hope we have to see pink bras, and we raise a lot of funds for it.
Does that mean everyone?
It means everyone.
No, it's
Truly everyone.
It does.
You might want to ask where you
It does.
purchased one.
It's a great photo op. It does.
Well, yeah, will somebody go buy
Yeah,
one
just-
for
just-
us,
just
please?
leave it
Yes,
alone.
yes.
Just leave it alone.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see Commissioner Wise.
Yeah, that'll be a long day coming. I ain't happy with that.
Next order of business is consideration of the consent agenda.
So my right to left, Commissioner Wise, anything you'd like to pull?
My questions were addressed at the agenda review.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Oh, yes, and just real quick updates on B1, B3, and B11, since we're paying invoices on these projects. If you could just give us, Mr. Peterson, just a real quick update of the status.
Yes, ma'am.
Fowler? Very good. B1?
B1 is the contract with Goins, Rash, and Kane for the Langston High School additions and alterations. The contractor is on site. They have completed all of the lead and asbestos abatement. They have completed sealing the gym floor, and just this week began the demolition and construction of the internal work. I think by sometime the middle of October, Phil's guys will be loose and off of other projects, and they will be over there removing the metal building and some of the retaining walls and stuff. So currently, the project is on schedule and progressing as planned, and we're off to a great start over there. B3 is the slope rehabilitation retaining wall up at the Science Hill High School football stadium. The retaining wall is in place, the brickwork is in place, that's on the front of it. The backfilling is pretty much complete, and it's a matter of just cleaning up and getting the light poles for the baseball field and the fence put back up. I would assume they would be out of there in the next 4 or 5 weeks in its totality. So that's been a good
Someone asked me at the
project.
football game if we were putting seating up there. I told them, no, I did not think so, but
There is not seating up there, but that slope is now terraced so that if Science Hill High School decides to allow it, there could be a place for people to go up there and set out a blanket or a lawn chair or something and watch
take their own
events.
chairs with them. Yeah.
But that it will be completely at the discretion of the athletic director at the high school as to whether or not they're going to allow that. And if I could ask Mr. Witherspoon to come forward and give us an update on the item B11, which is a pay request associated with Brush Creek and Knob Creek wastewater treatment plants.
Just as a reminder, the commission has authorized investment on 2 of our 3 wastewater treatment plants of about $14 million worth of work. There's $12 million in contract work Frizzell Construction is performing. There's another $2 million worth of work that we're doing with city crews on equipment replacement and pipe installation. We had a project meeting today. The quality of work has gone very well. The timeliness of the project is dragging. There are a variety of reasons for that, most of which we don't believe the city's had much control over. But the good news is we anticipate the improvements at Knob Creek will be commissioned in the month of October. There are 3 key improvements at the Brush Creek plant. 2 of those 3 should be commissioned in November, with the remaining unit process commissioned in December. And then we'll settle the project at some point. So as we've said previously, quality of the work has been fine. The project may not close real cleanly, but we'll deal with that when we need to deal with it.
what are the main components that are being upgraded or completely?
Might take the Knob Creek plant for just a minute. There's a large pumping station that has been installed over there with standby power that initially will be used to pump extra wet weather flows up to some basins that we built in '84 that haven't been used in about the past 15 years. So it will help buffer our treatment capacity over there during wet weather events. The station was also sized to potentially in the future send flow from that basin over to the Brush Creek plant for treatment so that we can centralize our investments over there. At the Brush Creek plant, we've got a similar wet weather activity to where high flows will be forwarded to a basin and then recirculated through the plant for treatment. But the 2 key buildings over there in unit processes that we're adding, that facility uses gaseous chlorine for disinfection. It's very effective, but it does carry some risk, especially post 9/11. So of our 6 facilities, or 5 facilities that have some type of disinfection, that is the last facility we have that will be phasing out gaseous chlorine, and in this case, we'll be using bleach similar to some of the other facilities. The other unit process that's key to compliance with wastewater plant is that we want plenty of clean water being returned to the river, but in order to do that, you have to settle, treat, process your biosolids, and dewater that and remove it, and we landfill ours at Ours Glen. It's key that those units are very reliable. We only have 1 unit that was put in about 25 years ago. We are adding a totally new solids processing building. And so the improvements are adding more safer unit processes into the plants, both for the employees and our neighbors, and also more efficient and reliable unit processes at the plants.
Would you comment also on the water break, I guess it was, at Oakland and State Franklin?
I'll be happy to comment on 2 of them.
Yeah.
So we had 2 out there.
Yeah.
There's a section of line, and this is from the standpoint of the age of the utility system, we would not consider this an old line at all. It was put in the early 90s, 10-inch line. The first failure occurred earlier in the week. Line's relatively deep where Oakland Avenue comes into State of Franklin, right across from Browns Mill Road. Took some time to get the line excavated, took some time to get the water shut off, find all the valves necessary to do that, to make the repairs. The basic problem we've got on that is that particular type of pipe is ductile iron pipe. It is a very reliable pipe. We have a lot of it in the system, very low failure rate. But as we always tell everybody, there is no perfect pipe for every installation, and it's laid in some type of material that's in the vicinity of that intersection that appears to be very corrosive to that pipe. I sent Mr. Peterson a photo today of the pipe, and the bottom of the pipe has significant deterioration from corrosion on it. So night 1, and the next day, we're trying to make repairs to get it back in service, and we use 3 different repair clamps on 3 different locations. Got folks back in water, left them in water while they were trying to serve lunches, got them back in water before dinner. We went about 2 days, and then last night we had a second failure. It was not in the area that we'd made the repair. It was outside of that area, just down from it. So what the crews did today was they excavated about 50 feet, installed about 50 feet of new pipe into that location. Got the water back on, found some valves that got people in water, uncovered some valves that had been paved over, and had gotten some folks in water back on the Browns Mill side, so they were able to open for lunch and that kind of thing. So we will continue. We're going to go back out and try to do some evaluation over the next few weeks. The perception is we tied back into sound pipe, but the areas that we tied back into are still in that what we believe to be corrosive material. So obviously, it's not in our interest to go out there and make any more repairs or disrupt service. But we had to get the water back on to those folks, and the crews did an outstanding job in very difficult conditions. And so hopefully, if we're back out there digging, it's in a scheduled manner and not in a reactive manner. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. Mr. Peterson?
Those are the 3 items in question. If you have any further questions, we'll be glad to answer.
Very good. Second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Temita?
Yes.
The next item of consideration is approval of a tower rental agreement with Nexstar Broadcasting As you're aware, we have towers up on Buffalo Mountain for our communication purposes, as well as antenna space that we lease out to other users. Mr. Stahl, I will let you quickly run through the details.
This
please.
is a new agreement, but it's really a continuation of an existing relationship that we've had for a number of years. Originally, this tower rental agreement was with Media General, which owned WJHL Television. This had an option to renew. The option to renew has been completed as of this month, and now we're proposing entering into another 5-year lease agreement with an option to renew. Beyond that, the new owner of WJHL Television is Nexstar Broadcasting of Irving, Texas, and this agreement is essentially the same as the prior agreement, except for the adjustment of a price index, increasing the rental sum, and which gives them the option to pay in lump sum or to pay on an annual basis with application of a municipal cost index if they choose to pay it that way. So again, this 5-year agreement with an option to renew for another 5 years.
Just a couple of questions, Mr. Stahl. I understand the index that increases year over year. How do we determine the base rate of that? Is there a standard in the industry of what you charge, for those attachments?
Talking about the municipal cost index versus the CPI, this is
not what increases, but just the base, what we're charging them, the $9,200 a year. I mean, where does that come from?
Well, that's basically taking what we're charging now with a slight adjustment. The finance department, Janet Jennings accountants, the original lease back in 2008 was prior agreement was $37,000 or $7,500 a year. If they chose to pay the $7,500 a year, it was based on the adjustment of the municipal cost index over subsequent years, which of course this ran from 2008 to 13, then they took another extension from 13 to 18. So what's happening now, the accountants downstairs have basically, the municipal cost index and the current rate, we did adjust it slightly above that to $46,000 or $9,200 per year, but they make an adjustment every year and they do the billing.
I understand all that, but do other municipalities charge the same base level? I mean, how do we get to that number?
Okay. Basically what we do, we do surveys of other communication towers in other areas, and we do stick with the southeast because the cost in the southeast is frankly...
It's just a competitive number.
It's a competitive number. It is a bit subjective because, again, the difference here is this tower is our tower, and they're actually renting space on our tower. If this company wanted to have its own tower, which we do have a few right now, just to give you some information in case you don't know that, we currently have on this tower WJHL Television, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, WCQR, Carter County Sheriff's Department, EMS in Bright Ridge, and Bristol Broadcasting has its own tower separate, which is a separate rate structure based on that, and Cumulus Media has the largest tower and building on the property, and of course that's a long-term lease. And so again, when you look at these rates and say, oh, why is one different than the other? Again, it gets back to in some cases. I think Cumulus Media has a 25-year lease, so they had obviously a long-range lease with us. These leases are typically 5 years with options to renew. That's what we're trying to stick to.
Our agreement in this lease, they have to keep the same equipment they have on the tower. Can they add to that, or would you have to renegotiate the lease?
They can update technology. So, and they have the right to update technology. They pretty much tell you what they're providing in the lease agreement, the antenna, which is at the midpoint of the tower, the obviously certain technologies associated with that. But again, it's pretty much understood that they have a right to upgrade. And but again, if there is a major need to reposition the antenna, then certainly they'd be talking with us about that.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions?
Move approval.
Have a motion? How about a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Mayor Tomita?
Yes.
Next item on your agenda is the manager's report. A couple of things I'd like to update you on. The sale of the Millennium Center from the PBA to the State of Tennessee ETSU is still on track to close October the 1st. There have been a series of weekly meetings, sometimes 2 meetings a week, to ensure that all the details are being worked through and that all the information will be there for closing. We expect that to close on October the 1st. That's moving as has been hoped and as expected. Also, the Sports Science Center that we've talked about, the foreign investors have sent money over here and created a local LLC called Peak Force. They also sent money that would pay the architects to develop preliminary plans. Those plans are complete and were shared with the Stones and their group and others from ETSU earlier in the week, this week, for review. Dr. Sato and Mr. Casera will be leaving to go back to Asia the 30th of September to share those plans with the foreign investors and to generate additional support for the project. The intent there is to get feedback from the investors and a determination to what level of investment that is currently there to come back and get that project started. Over the course of the spring and summer, there have been a couple of folks that will be working in this facility that have been in Asia training Chinese and Taiwanese Olympians and have generated enough interest that there are a number of Asian athletes that want to come to Johnson City and train as soon as this facility is up and running. So this facility is generating momentum. There's some hard dollars invested now. So we're very hopeful that the momentum will continue to grow and this project will keep moving forward. This is an awesome opportunity for us to be better known on the national stage. It's an opportunity for us in the university to working together to establish a new industry that could not only be coaches training and athlete training, but also spin off into research and development into a lot of different fields associated with training athletes as well as medicine. As you're aware, every 2 years we do a citizen survey, and this is the fall that the citizen survey is to be done. The process has begun. Those selected to participate in the survey should be receiving postcards sometime in the next week as a notification that the survey is forthcoming. There will be a series of 3 postcards sent. One is it's coming. One is you've got it. Can you send it in? And then there's one last push to please turn in your survey. So those selected to participate will be receiving several pieces of mail in the coming month. The survey instrument should arrive sometime early October, and the process should be completed in its entirety sometime early December. This will give us a wonderful opportunity to go back and compare this survey results to results of previous surveys to see how we've done in terms of improvement in those areas that we've been communicated to that the community would like to see changes in. It will also give us an opportunity to compare those results to the employee survey that we did about a year ago. Those are separate survey instruments, but there's a lot of parallels there from the perspective of how does the community see the organization and our performance, and how do our employees perceive the organization and our performance. And we've seen some real benefit in being able to compare the results of those 2 instruments. Would remind you that the Aerospace Park groundbreaking is on your calendars, I believe, for October the 4th. That's really a monumental event to be celebrated by all in Northeast Tennessee. We've talked about regional cooperation. We continue to talk about regional cooperation. And I'm proud to say that this commission was the first one to stand up and say, here's our check, we want to participate. And the other local governments very quickly joined together, and we now have a new industry, a new opportunity at the Tri-Cities Airport that could really change the landscape of employment opportunities. Tomorrow, the university will have a beam signing or a topping out process for the Fine and Performing Arts Center. That project is moving right along, and we're seeing a lot of construction there, and everyone's very excited about that and looking forward to that facility opening up again. It's like building a house. You see all this outside construction, you think, oh, we're close, we're close. There's still probably 14, 16 months worth of construction to do there. There's a lot of finishes and whatnot to be done, but we're very excited to see that project moving forward. The other item I will share with you, and you all are aware of this, at our agenda review meeting on Monday, we began the discussion of what the process will be to make the appointment to fill the vacancy on the commission. We met in a meeting today at 5 o'clock, and you came to agreement that the process shall be as follows. For those, and I'm going to read a letter that will be posted on our, that is posted on our website, of a letter of explanation. The City of Johnson City Commission is requesting letters of interest from individuals interested in filling the remaining 2-year term of Commissioner Van Brocklin. This appointment will serve through November 2020. Applicants and city commissioners are required to be eligible voters and current city residents. Letters of interest should include, at a minimum, a short discussion of why you are interested in being appointed, the qualifications that you bring to this position, your specific experience and participation in civic and public service, and your vision for the future of Johnson City. Letters of interest are due by Monday, October the 1st at 5 o'clock p.m. The City Commission may hold interviews with a select number of applicants on Monday, October the 15th. Applicants will be contacted if they are selected for an interview. The Commission will make the appointment to fill the vacancy at the October 18th City Commission meeting. Letters of interest can be mailed to the City of Johnson City, attention to Beth Green, P.O. Box 2150, Johnson City, 37605, or emailed to city, I'm going to spell this out, CITYMGR@johnsoncitytn.org. All of this is posted on our website, and that can be easily accessed by direct link off of our website at www.johnsoncitytn.org/vacancy. So that information is on the website. That is the process that has been discussed and agreed upon for filling the vacancy. And if anyone has questions, please call down to my office and we'll get your questions answered. And if there are any additions, deletions, or changes, if you'd let me know, we'll make sure that those are included this evening.
Very good.
Thank you. And I'll be glad to answer any questions or take any direction you may have.
Do I have any questions or anything I'd like to say? I can't think of anything.
I have one real quick one on the Millennium Center. I've gotten a couple of calls from people concerned about not having meeting rooms. Do you know if Dr. Nolan has come out with any statement about how long that would be open for public use?
I am unaware of any statement that the university has released at this time, but I will inquire and.
Please do, if you would ask him to,
Yes, ma'am.
be clear about that.
Very good. Anyone else?
I would say that I trust Pete Peterson, but I have also verified the letter is available on our website,
Good for you.
as he indicates.
He should told me it was, and I trust her.
All right.
Very good. We will stand adjourned. Thank you.
So how do we score these things?